Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna have some afternoon delight. My mama always said when it's right, why wait until a little afternoon delight? Sky rockets in flight, afternoon delight. Afternoon delight.
Well, guys, that was a welcome song to intro today's podcast. Happy Friday, everyone. My name is Paul, and you're listening to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U.
Yes, indeed, and I'm Rob, and this is episode number 332, I think. Welcome. We're glad that you're spending a few minutes of your day with us.
We do, and we don't want to really bore you too much.
Never.
No.
Never do we want to bore you.
But we do want to get right to today's question, which is actually a really good one. Today we're talking about battery maintenance. I feel like that should be the title of this podcast. I know it's a very specific question, but I think we're going to cover a lot about battery maintenance, and I feel that so many people get this wrong. So we're going to talk about it. In fact, we should probably have a whole nother podcast on how to travel with your batteries. That's one video I actually want to put in the queue. But anyway, guys, Welcome to today's show. If you have a question, go to askdroneu.com. Please don't email. Please don't text. askdroneu.com. I can't say it enough. That's how we'll answer your questions. If you want me or Rob or Drone U to answer your question, ask Drone U. Otherwise, if you're a member, you kind of have access all the time. So if you want access to us all the time, just become a member. It's pretty cheap.
And the accents do get preferential treatment.
That's very true.
It's just the reality of it.
We
dig them. They're fun.
We totally do. Today's question is brought to you by, are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 333 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign in, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer. Property releases for professional drone pilots.
Army mateys, only you can make Drone U a compliment. I've been curious for some time now. If me batteries and me transmitter and flysite are lipos, how can I take as good of care of them as with me drone batteries? And do you landlubbers store them in a lipo sack? Here's luck and fair wind to you. Brendan from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon, for the question.
Yeah.
Good one. Paul, you're up.
Oh.
Jump in.
Oh, cool. All right. Well.
So let's just start with the easy one. Do you use lipo sacks?
You should. You totally should.
Do as I say, not as I do. Is it one of those
I'm not
deals?
saying that. I'm just saying you should. You can also store them in fireproof safes, which probably actually won't work. But
why?
Fireproof safe can only take so much heat, and also it's not pressurized, so oxygen can still get into it, and you can still have that fire.
Yeah.
There is a company though, Rob, that is on Kickstarter right now, and they are making the LiPo fireproof box. It is what everyone.
Cool.
You remember we got a call a while ago, and the guy was like, I know you were talking about ammo cans and putting them in ammo cans, but if you don't,
set us straight.
Well, it's funny. Someone listened to him and then made a Kickstarter on that product. Yeah, no, seriously. Like if you go to Kickstarter and look up Battery Safe, I think is what it's called. In fact, I was showing it to Rick from Go Professional Cases.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, can you believe that they're building this? He's like, I love it. Let them build it. Let them go at it. I'm all for it. And I was like,
well, it's going to be a lot safer, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's also the chance of what if it doesn't work? Because that's why Rick was like, I want to see how it works out with them first. I want to see what happens. Because there's an awful lot of liability when building a product that's supposed to be fireproof, bomb-proof.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they did a lot of testing before they brought it to market, I would hope.
Well, we're talking about Kickstarter here. Remember, this is, the
before
same place.
Comes to market.
This is the same place where the Lily came out. Everyone remembers that story. So,
yeah, well, we'll see. It's a cool concept.
Didn't you say you wanted a Lily?
I want a Lily to go with my Sema, yes. That would be sweet.
Will you be taking off and landing from your hand? All right, so let's get into battery storage. There are different ways you can store your batteries. Fireproof places is definitely the place to do it, whether it's on granite, whether it's in metal somehow. The opportunity for a fire to take place is very real. LiPo batteries, like the kind we use for our racers. Hold on. LiPo batteries, like the ones we use for our racers, have to be stored a little bit better than, say, batteries like these, just because so much can go wrong if, two things touch the leads right here. You get a fire.
Mm-hmm. They're not as contained as something like this.
Well, correct. And even Phantom batteries have evolved so much. This is a Phantom 2 battery, a little puffed out. It's a 3S, not a 4S, 5,200 milliamp hour battery. And if you notice, it's completely sealed, puffed up. The new Phantom 4 battery is see-through. There's literally holes in this battery.
Yep.
Which was really interesting to me when I first picked this thing up because, it looks like a sponge. It's very cool. I'm not going to lie. We flew the Phantom 4 for quite some time yesterday, so...
What'd you find the battery did on the Phantom 4, just out of curiosity?
I didn't...
You didn't measure it?
No, I was having way too much fun.
You're just enjoying the flight. That's cool. I get
it. But anyway, storing batteries... if you are storing batteries, we had a podcast a long time ago talking about ammo cans, making sure there are holes in the ammo cans. There's this just massive list of things that you should do to really protect them and store them. I would recommend, guys, if you are storing these in your home, you really need to be careful about where you are storing them. Like I would have them in LiPo bags, in a fireproof case.
Would you even keep them in the house?
Yeah, only because if you keep it in the shed or somewhere that's not temperature controlled, might get too hot, might get too cold. So, and then you ruin your batteries. And another way that people ruin their batteries, and I know because I've done it myself with two Inspire 1 batteries, is leaving them charged for more than 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
When you're storing batteries, you always want to leave them charged at about 50 to 60%. Or if you are a techie, you're a tinker, that's 3.8 volts per cell. So not 3.7, 3.8.
3.8.
That's the best way to store them. LiPo bags, definitely a good idea. Now, monitoring your LiPos, you can do with a LiPo battery meter. It's about this big. We're actually going to post a link to a meter. They're like $14 on Amazon. So check out the description below the podcast to see that link. You can get one yourself. I have one. I use it for the bigger batteries, like for the Y6, the X8.
Right.
But it's also great for these as well. And you can see how many cycles, the battery life, percentage, and voltage currently. Now remember, this is going to be unloaded when you check it. So if you're like, oh, well, it said I had 11.4 volts and now I only have 9.2 and I took off. That's the difference between loaded and unloaded, which is a big deal. I've seen a lot of people, in fact, Peter, I'm calling you out for this. I've seen a lot of people who put a lot of these in one bag or like a Tupperware bin, and they're just all shuffling around all the time.
What?
That is not a good idea. That is not a good idea. Don't do
just
that.
living life on the edge, Paul.
Until your truck burns down.
The edge of disaster.
Yeah. Flying by the seat of my pants.
That's right.
Anyway, other things that can really hamper your ability to fly are if these get cold. You want to make sure these stay in a neutral kind of temperature around 70, 75 degrees. So your house is a great place. But again, LiPo bags are great. You want to have an additional layer of protection, though, of a LiPo bag. Ammo can is great. You want to drill holes in it, though, to let it vent. If you don't let it vent, it will explode. You'll have a bomb on your hands.
You'll just have shrapnel in addition to the battery issue.
Yes. And also make sure that you never say bomb on an airplane. So, especially when talking about batteries. No, Colin Smith from Photoshop Cafe was like, I just got kicked off of a Southwest Airlines flight because I wouldn't let them check my Phantom case. And I'm like, that makes sense, because the pilot was like, I don't want this on my aircraft, blah, blah, blah.
Really?
He didn't really know the extent of Phantom batteries or whatever. But, why couldn't someone in a Southwest Airlines just say, you know what, you can check my bag and let this go up here? Because as long as it stays in the cabin's pressurized,
right,
you shouldn't ever have a problem. It's when you put those LiPo batteries in temperatures in the cargo bin where it's not pressurized, you can have a lot of problems. So I thought that was
But why would he not let them check his bag?
You can't check LiPos.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I was thinking wouldn't let him look in it.
So no. He had his Phantom and his batteries in one case.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like a noob. He didn't really do the research and education on, you've got to carry your batteries separate. Just because, too, a lot of these Phantom cases you can't check. Or you can't carry them on. A lot of people try to carry them on or gate check them. Not a good idea. In fact, I even did that for a while and said to do that, but you can't do that anymore with the new FAA laws. So got to carry those on. Again, if you're flying American Airlines though, and you check your baggage, so you check your drone without the batteries in it, they're going to ask you, do you have LiPo batteries in your check bag or carry-on? That's actually the wrong question. The right question would be, do you have LiPo batteries in your checked baggage? Because you're allowed to have LiPo batteries as carry-on. So,
but only up to a certain point, right?
Correct. So. But I always click no. So American Airlines they're just not answering or asking the right question because, the law came out, April 1st, so we're only a month in.
Brand new,
No surprise.
So what about transmitters? Do you do anything unique in terms of caring for your transmitter, or is it just not throwing it up against a wall?
I always keep my transmitters in cases.
Okay.
I have a feeling I've ruined the battery in my Futaba transmitter, though, because I left it charged for a long time. Again, guys, learn from us from experience. Don't do that. But you want to make sure there's some charge on the battery, or else it will deplete below the point that you can't charge it. Do you want to know a tip and trick to save a LiPo battery that your LiPo charger won't charge anymore?
Please.
So it doesn't work for Phantom batteries, but any actual LiPo or LiHV batteries, this works. So let's say this was a 3S battery, right? Normally it would be 11.1 volts. If it goes below 9.6, 9.5 volts, the charger will say voltage too low, it won't charge. Plug this in. Do not plug in the balance port to your charger, and switch your charger from LiPo to NiCad. And then pump 2 amps of power into the battery until you get to about 10.6 volts.
Okay.
Then switch your charger over to LiPo, and it'll charge like normal.
Very cool.
A
lot of people have probably thrown away batteries when they could have saved them.
Oh, yeah, totally. Now, I wouldn't fly on these batteries, but I would, because I've used this in my remote many times.
Yeah.
So now, if you're flying an FPV racer and you do the battery fix, I'd fly on it, but not my Phantom. Not my Big Bird either. But again, if it's for, I've got one of these for my monitor as a backup. I've got a couple for remotes. So if you need to save them, that's how you do it.
Cool.
Now, if you're below, say, 8 volts on a 3-cell, it's not going to work. Excuse me. So you have this area that it'll work pretty much.
Right.
All right, I talked about the Kickstarter project, keeping your batteries warm. If you're in cold temperatures, you know that you're going to have a significantly decreased flight time unless you keep the batteries warm and keep protection around them. As far as transmitters go, try to keep them isolated. It's funny, though, because I feel like FPV transmitters, not remotes, go out over time. No, and I'm dead serious because my Inspire is having problems keeping the feed, even in areas where there's no interference.
Really? So you're thinking that might be the transmitter?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of other people say that their transmitters went out on their Phantom 3s, and they called DJI, and DJI was like, oh, you just have an old transmitter. It's like, an old transmitter? These things are supposed to last for years.
Yeah.
So anyway, found that really interesting.
And there's not much you can do about that except get a new one?
Well, I'd have to send the Inspire back to DJI.
Oh, wow.
And it would be a issue in itself.
For sure.
So anyway, guys, but we have been testing out the Phantom 4. Really excited to tell you about that. Rob, I figured out how to trick the system, to trick the obstacle avoidance.
Another trick.
It was actually a lot easier than I thought. Sam, our intern, and I were out there flying the P4.
I'm glad you're okay, Sam, after hearing the story.
And do you want to tell everyone the story?
No. I don't want to have any part of the story.
Okay. Anyway, if you have a subject, I'm going to save it for the Phantom 4 podcast. We'll talk about it later next week. That's going to do it for us today, guys. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone Youth.